Hi guys, my name is Dave McLean. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect at PacketFabric. My CEO couldn't make it today. He had a family emergency, so I'll be covering down on the presentation for him. Clicker's off too, so why we have this popcorn slide up. So essentially, you can build a global network on the PacketFabric platform as long as it takes to make a bag of popcorn. And I'll tie that down towards the end here. Kind of a funny slide, as again, I'm not the president and CEO of the company, and obviously I'm not as good looking as Paul Rudd. But what this is literally about is we have revolutionized the way that networks are being built today within our core, as well as how they've been orchestrated. So we have a purpose-based network that we built from the ground up that has the ability to scale from 1 gig to 100 gigs within less than 5 minutes. And I'd be happy to demo that for you at the booth right after this. So cloud computing made easy. We also provide multiple cloud on-ramps. So Amazon, Azure, IBM, Google. We have Salesforce now within our umbrella. They're more of a SaaS provider, but they're also part of our ecosystem. And you can literally connect to those providers within 3 minutes. It takes 3 minutes for us to spin up a virtual connection. If you have your Amazon information, if you have your Azure information, your key or your direct connect information, you literally can have this environment spun up in 3 minutes. Now, if you think about traditional telcos, and I come from traditional telco, I have to set realistic expectations with you 30, 60, 90 days. I can do this in 5 minutes. And when you start thinking about that, that's truly what an SDN is. It's our ability to place software on top of our network. We still have an underlay platform, right? It's still in PLS. Where the magic happens is on the overlay. So that's the fundamental difference around what PacketFabric can do versus a traditional carrier. Sorry, I don't have a clicker. So once again, legacy telecom providers. If I was your solutions architect at CenturyLink or sales engineer, I would have to tell you that it would take 60 to 90 days to procure a cross-connect to get you from A to B. And then you'd still have to work with your data center operator in order to procure the cross-connect to my LOA CFA, which we can generate instantly through our portal. So not only can we spin up the circuit, but you will actually have executable LOA CFA within 5 minutes to take to both data center operators and procure your cross-connect. And we give you 15 days to do that. And that's all within our portal as well, and I can show you that on a demo. Literally, you build the circuit, you can view it, you see your A, B, and sides of the circuit, your LOA, how it's connecting to my network, the speeds in which it's connecting to my network, and the ability to manipulate that in the event you ever wanted to upgrade, change your terms. To that point, we offer terms in month to month, all the way up to 36 months, with a predictable price model. So that's something, and we're very transparent about our pricing. You can actually look at our pricing on our public website, as well as through our portal if you sign up. So we built our network from the ground up. So first and foremost, we laid the fiber, right? So we got our optical network. We deploy our network over a private layer 2 platform, hyperscale layer 2. And we have a REST API for you to integrate with our platform as well. So when you think about this, the traditional telcos never thought about this, right? They went out, they built their MPLS networks, they built their public IP networks, they built VPLS on top of MPLS. Right? That was kind of the roadmap. Well, we started at layer 2. We stay there. Our network does not touch the internet. You have the ability to go to inter-exchange providers through a virtual circuit. You have the ability to go to cloud providers through a virtual circuit, as well as third-party partners that we have on our ecosystem. So that's pretty profound. And you can do this, and I can't, that popcorn slide, I'll tie that down at the end, but literally within 5 minutes. So I could get you to LA, to New York, within 5 minutes. And you would have executable LOA CFA to take to that data center operator to get your tie-down information. So the long pole in the tent is no longer that local loop or that rash of provisioning and process that all these different telcos have to go through. I just came from CenturyLink for 5.5 years. I was inundated in process. Now we have one portal, one pane of glass, self-service, and we truly became a network as a service provider. So I think that's pretty profound in of itself. So once again, our mission is to change the status quo. We really want to become a true network as a service provider to allow you to self-service yourself, provision You guys can go in our portal. It's not, you don't need a CCNA, you don't need any complex certifications. It's literally just getting used to the portal and the user interface itself. I've been at PacketFabric now for 4 weeks, and I'm already an expert on their demos and their APIs and how things work. And I'll be honest with you, I come from an SD-WAN background, and I've never been a part of a portal that's so easy to get around. And I can show you this at the end. I mean, please stop by our booth. I really want to show you how this works, because that's where it becomes so profound. You'll never want to, I call ourselves the middle mile too. Let me just kind of highlight that. So what does the middle mile mean? Everyone has to deal with local loops, right? We all understand that. That always becomes a long pole in the tent. Now, once you get on the fabric, now we're going to beat the traditional telcos on cost, time to implement. Everything that they've ever had struggles with, we've tried to overcome that. And that's one of the reasons I came to this corporation. They have a vision from development through core engineering, through everything should be automated. If they could automate me, they would, be perfectly frank with you. So once again, our ability to not only just provide point-to-point data services, but your ability to intercommunicate with multiple cloud providers via a click of the button is pretty profound. You can spin up the size of circuit you want. They start at 50 meg increments all the way up to line speed. So if you procured 10 gigs, 40 gigs, 100 gigs from us, you can actually pop those many VCs. You can even oversubscribe our network. You can, we don't, but you as if you're doing backups in the middle of the night, like you want to do a 10 gig connection, but you also wanted a 5 gig VC, go ahead. And we can give you different availability zones to traverse our platform as well. And that becomes profound. So when I talk about availability zones, so what that is, that's diverse equipment within each point of presence that we have that allows you, for instance, if we're having a maintenance. We all know about maintenances, right? Network maintenance, it happens on our network, we're no different. But if you're in zones A and zone B, you won't be affected. So we're only gonna do maintenances on zone A, zone B would be up throughout the entire course of our maintenances, and that's both the underlay and the overlay. So that's something that we can do where you're not just gonna be stuck when times of distress and your provider's doing a maintenance and you can't do anything about it. Well, in our platform, you literally, if you didn't want to be down, remember that month-to-month pricing I talked about? So what you could do is I'll just go in, choose zone B out of the same data center. Now that maintenance doesn't affect you. It's pretty neat, right? And you're only paying for it on a month-to-month term as opposed to having to be trapped into a 12, 24, or 36-month contract. Here's some of the folks within that ecosystem I was talking about. So as you can see, there's a ton. We have a lot of partners and a lot of people that utilize our backbone in order, like at those inter-office cross connects. You have IP connections, right? Dedicated internet. That becomes a virtual circuit on our network. It's still layer 2. It becomes layer 3 once you intercommunicate with them, firewall that VLAN, now you're speaking layer 3. Well, same holds true for all the software as a service providers that we have. It's simply a virtual connection that we can build in less than 3 minutes on our network. If you have your Amazon Direct Connect information, you could be up within 3 minutes. If you had your Azure key, you could be up within 3 minutes. So if you really think about that, I've been in this world now for 21 years. I know I only look like I'm 25, but CenturyLink, wore me out. But it really is profound. It's something that until you see it, it's almost hard to believe. And when you do get in there and you start utilizing this platform, no one leaves our fabric once you're on it. So our fabric is data center network as a service. That's really what it is. We want you to be able to self-service, provision your own technology through one single pane of glass. So here's a little bit about our global footprint. We have now 178 POPs if you count all of the campus environments that we've spun up. We tout 160 on our website, but if you really think about it, we have, if you think about Sydney, we got 4 different geographically dispersed data centers that we traverse there, as well as our roadmap right now is looking like Frankfurt first and then Amsterdam. So we're already in EU today. We're in Docklands in London, as well as in Sydney. Those were the last 2 that we built out. Sounds like Frankfurt's going to come up first, and then Amsterdam will be on the roadmap secondary. And then hopefully if it was up to me, I'd like to get into LATAM as well. And that's one of the things down at the bottom there. You see like Brazil, but I think LATAM's an underserved market. So here's a couple of use cases. So we're at a media event. So we had a media company that needed high bandwidth needs, but weren't in a data center that we were at. So what we did to overcome this is we procured 2 dark fibers from 2 diverse providers, diverse entrance exits through the building, 2 diverse POPs within the metro that we had. And you can see they're 100% resilient. Some are used for point-to-point, some are used for cloud connectivity. So you don't have to be in a geographical data center. This can also be an optical wavelength. This doesn't have to be dark fiber, right? But when you start thinking about costing, right? The expense of having to do business with somebody. And that's not only the gray hair and the bald head, right? The stress and trials and tribulations. It's the ability to very quickly deploy your technology. So the long pole in the tent is always going to be this local loop. But once you have that local loop, and I like to standardize on dark fiber. Wavelength, you can certainly get there, but then you're going to be paying that carrier, quite a bit of money. But where you offset that cost is in our core. We are very, very, very price competitive. And if you look at our pricing on our website, it's fully disclosed. What you're going to pay for 10 gig, what you're going to pay for 140 gig, 1 gig, it's all right there on the website. There's no hidden costs, none. We do have a usage-based model. And what I like to caution customers on any usage-based model, some of you guys might have heard of, what's that called? I forgot, but there was a consumption model when I was at CenturyLink, ACDR. And it can frighten you at the end of the month. You think you're paying $1,500 for a circuit, next thing you know it came back at $5,000 because you bursted in that 95th percentile billing methodology like a lot of carriers utilize. Comes about to 36 hours of any given month before you have to come back down to line speed. There's none of that within our network. So if you procure a 10 gig port, you pay for 10 gigs. You pay for a 40 gig port, you get 40 gigs. No hidden costs. And another cool thing about our network too is if you're in the same metro, the first VC is free. Your first virtual connection to anybody you want within that metropolitan area is free. The subsequent virtual connections are only $50, and that's an administrative fee on our side just to do some configuration to get them up for you. Now that's within the like Los Angeles proper, as an example. So we're not charging you for every little bit of data that you're going to consume from us, or network assets, I should say. So this is a pretty cool one. So you have content delivery networks that huge bandwidth consumptions. Limelight's actually my customer. And they're a pretty large CDN. So if you think about CDN versus SDN, what's the difference? We don't cache your data. Your data is your data. Your round trip delay is in our SLAs. We don't perform any caching. Like I said, you get dedicated line rate speeds. And you can perform streaming across those. That could be interconnectivity to get out to a cloud provider. You can see they have a multitude of them up there, as well as IP. We have inter-exchange carriers that we use, and we have just dedicated internet providers such as NTTs, GTTs of the world. So you can just pop a virtual connection out to an IP ISP and right off the fabric. And as I said, within 3 minutes, say that out loud. How long would it take you to get an internet circuit from your standard carrier? Pretty wild. At the best case, if they were on net, 30 to 45 days. That's if they're on net. So, as we've kind of talked about, our value proposition is time to market, self-provisioning, your ability to spin up your own network, manage it, maintain it, upgrade it. You can manipulate it. So you'll see if you come over and take a demo, what we can do is we can scale it up, we can scale it down, you can change your monthly service terms. We're not placing you in contracts that you're going to be held to if you so do not choose to want to be in those. Now, obviously, we're no different. Month to month is going to be a little more expensive than a 36-month term, right? We all know that, partnerships. But the simplicity, it's almost like you could train, I hate to say this, but my grandma to do it, because you truly can. It is not very hard at all. Once you spin up, I'll show you how to do point-to-point circuitry, how you can do custom EVPLs. And we do try to maintain the MEF standards, right? So you got EPL and EVPL. So EPL is our standard point-to-point private line. And then EVPL would be more your custom network where we're utilizing multiple virtual connections to get you to wherever you want to go. So I want to take some questions now, if that's okay, because I hope to see you guys all at the booth. Sorry my CEO couldn't be here. He had a family emergency. So what do you think the fundamental difference is between what we're doing than what a carrier is doing, right? Your standard carrier. I call us the middle mile for a reason, because once you're on the fabric, you can offload that traffic to anybody you want. Your last mile has always been that local loop. We call them tails because it's like chasing your tail. And you're having to deal with those providers. And they're inundated in process and procedure that they've been in for years, and they don't know how to get out of it. They truly don't. We have a purpose-built network that automizes not only just provisioning, but the implementation of your technology. It's huge. So does anyone have any questions?
All right, who's got a question for us? We've got a mic here. All right.
And I'd be happy to talk about the engineering of it as well. I am an engineer, without disclosing the secret sauce, of course. But
how to get stains out of clothes.
Yeah.
How to train your dog. Any questions?
So, since I would like to,
Sure.
not that I have any part of the thing, this is just more curiosity. So you said it's not based off of MPLS. Are they dedicated connections, and then you can tear it down and dynamically you can just change your different routing?
You're spot on. So our underlay networks is MPLS. So you get all the fast reroute capabilities of MPLS, QoS, everything that we do inherently within our core. But the overlay is what really defines an SDN. So the overlay is what allows you to self-provision. It's the software running on top of the MPLS backplane. That's what allows you to do what we do.
So everything is TCP?
Absolutely. And so just to kind of give you some background on our leadership team as well, Anna Claiborne came from Prolexic. Prolexic was a DDoS mitigation company. They were purchased by Akamai. She was the top developer. She was one of the co-founders of Prolexic. She doesn't just sit on our board, she works. She's in the team, she's actively running our DevOps team. We have some of the most brilliant minds in the industry. I'm very proud to work for this company.